¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's MarkTep25 otra vez. Yeah, man, it's been kind of crazy. I haven't been making very many videos. Life has been getting away from me. Yada, 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 excuses, excuses. Well, here's the thing, guys. I'm going to make a couple of videos, maybe a few more today. This particular video, I'm just going to be talking about, like, the Mavericks. Most of my videos today are just, again, going to be rants. I don't have the time or the technology. I have this damn computer, but it doesn't allow me to use my camera. It doesn't allow me to download certain applications because it's old. It's an old computer, and I have no fucking money to put towards a new computer. I have none of that. I almost feel like starting a GoFundMe, but I almost feel that that's cheap. But I don't know. You tell me what I need to do on that in the comment section. But as far as what I'm doing right now, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. As of right now, the Dallas Mavericks have been struggling. They started off the season really well, pretty much third in the league for quite a bit, and now they've taken a little bit of a plummet. They're like 6th or 7th now. And it's getting really frustrating because this team has so much potential to be possibly even the 2nd or 3rd seed. If they had won the games that they should have won, they probably would have been the 2nd seed. Just saying. Like, you can look at all the games they should have won, like, especially against, and I'm going to say it again, the Knicks. They should have beaten the Knicks. They should have beaten Charlotte. They could have beaten the Lakers that first time. But they lost because of a fucking bad call. But yet again, you cannot rely on bad calls to help you win games. You cannot rely on that. You have to play your game. You should not have been in that position. You should have defended. But I digress, and fans are probably going to complain about what I just said. But it is what it is. But overall, the main issues with this team, they're role players. There are so many times that these players that they have, like Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr., Seth Curry, Wright, Jackson. They have all these players, Powell, Kleba. They perform really well on some nights, and then they're completely out of it in other nights. The consistency is not there. And that has to improve. They need to be more consistent in the way they play their game. And part of the reason that they're in the positions that they're in, like they were at least decent, was because of Kristaps Porzingis and Luka. But more so Luka. Even Kristaps Porzingis at times was struggling too because, again, he's coming back from injury. He's trying to get his legs under him. But after a while, that becomes a little bit of an excuse. Like, it's what, the 3rd or 4th month into the season now? I mean, granted, he's re-injured, so we're going to have to give him some time again. And granted, his defensive presence at the rim has been monumental. That's been great. Like, he's been averaging almost 2 blocks, probably a little bit more a game. Like 2.5 blocks, I believe. And holy crap, dude, that's amazing. Like, I'm glad that we at least have his length and that he's at least focusing a little bit on the defensive end. But I wish the same could be said about the rest of the team. Because there's so many moments where they just completely collapse on the defensive end, especially during the second half. But I'll get to that way later. But yeah, Kristaps has struggled in the post. And, granted, everybody's been on the internet talking about how Rick Carlisle is dismissing the post doesn't really matter. The game has changed. And yeah, it has. But why does it not help to have a decent post game? I mean, hopefully that's something he, I don't know, improves upon or at least works upon in the offseason. But overall, I just think that would help his game ever so slightly. He is a decent shooter from outside, but I feel he's not where he needs to be right now. Him and Luka, those are the two people that are the heads of this team. But they keep forcing up threes when it's not falling. And that has to stop. I understand it's more of a three-point centric league now, But if it's not falling, you got to find something else. A few mid-range shots is not a bad thing. I understand everybody has this mindset that, oh, it's an inefficient shot. Okay, but if you are personally inefficient from three, what else do you have? You kind of have no choice there. You kind of have to take some open mid-range shots. That has to happen once in a while. And Kristaps developing a post game would help a little bit. I mean, considering his height, at least against smaller defenders, he should at least have a decent post game against that. I'm not saying you have to be great against centers right now, but at least against the smaller defenders. But I don't know. Everybody is going to disagree with me, especially Mavs fans for some reason. Mavs fans are always in disagreement, and I never understand that. Every time I'm on Twitter, there's always some fucking disagreement. Like that they know something more for some reason, which I'm sorry. The eye test and what I'm seeing from the statistics is not the same, okay? And again, the thing with Dwight Powell, again, I'm not so high on the guy. And there's so many times, there's been moments where he has really decent games. And I commend him. Good for him. But there's been so many other instances where he's just really inefficient for a freaking center or power forward. And he doesn't rebound the way he needs to. He needs to be a little bit better on the glass. In the last stretch, he's been okay. But for the most part, I don't know. I would like to see a little bit more from him in order for me to really be sold on the guy. Same with Kleba. That's another guy I would like to see a little bit more grit on the glass. But again, I kind of went away from the idea of like Luka. Luka has been a major part of this team. He's put this team pretty much back on the map again. He's having a great season, pretty much historic, MVP caliber. Yet there are still a few problems to his game. Like, he's getting a little bit better on the defensive end, a little bit. But overall, his biggest issue is his shooting the three. Again, I'm not saying he can't shoot them, but he needs to learn when it's not falling, stop. After the fourth shot, if you're 0-4, you need to stop. You need to take it somewhere else. You can't just keep jacking up shots, shot after shot after shot. And again, the whole idea to do the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is the utter definition of insanity. And that has to stop. That's insane. Stop taking so many fucking threes. There's moments where I see him 1 for 6, 0 for 7, 1 for 8. And there's some moments where he's like 6 for 15, 5 for 12. That's not horrible. But I would prefer he take less threes until he's truly developed in that era, that area of his game. But overall, he has to take less. I would prefer him get 4 more assists a game than have him take that many threes. I'd rather that be the case. But I think the problem lies not necessarily within the players, but yet again, and I'm going to say it, Rick Carlisle. It's his fucking fault yet again, because there's so many times throughout his tenure where this team has decent leads and then they completely crumble at the end. Why? Why does that continue to happen? And I think it is because of the rotations he sets near the end. Granted, the players are the ones playing, not him. I get it. But if he sets better rotations in crunch time, like, I don't know, last night's game. I was watching the game last night. Why would you not have your 7'3" center in Bojan Marjanovic out there? Get him fucking there. Get him in there. I'd rather have a hulking presence covering Jokic, who is pretty big himself, than Dorian Finney-Smith. Why was that the rotation? Why? I'd rather that be the case. I'd rather Marjanovic guard the rim than Dorian Finney-Smith. That was just a horrible mismatch. And then there was no help defense. Granted, you could argue, well, Jokic is a good passing center, so you got to be careful when switching on him because he could pass it out. I'd rather them try to go for the three than freaking have Jokic get an easy bucket in the lane. Because really, all they needed was a bucket. They didn't need the three. But anyhow, that's just another thing. Like Rick Carlisle, I've been very critical of him as of late. I haven't been as vocal, but I've been pretty critical when I've seen some of the rotations and some of the overall collapse of the defense. Like I've been seeing all these leads they've just been giving up. And that has to stop. There has to be a better way. They have to get more aggressive on the defense. Stop forcing so many shots. Stop committing so many stupid turnovers. It's just, and granted, Rick Carlisle complained about, oh, well, they're taking a lot of liberties with Luka. Okay. In that instance, your teammates, yeah, and again, it's the role players, they need to help him. They need to fucking move, get open, so Luka can get him the ball. There's just a lot of stagnant offense. Like there's a great movement, but then there's stagnant offense in between. And that leads to the freaking collapses at the end. And that has to stop. And then another thing, I probably should have put this in a separate video, but I'm just going to put it here just to save time. Because again, I don't have the time to edit all this. So I'm just going to say this. As far as who they should go after in, the whole trade deadline thing, everyone keeps saying, like, Andre Drummond. I personally don't think they should go for Drummond. Like, Drummond, yeah, he's a great rebounder, and he's good in the paint, but I think he clogs the paint for this Mavericks team. We need a little bit more space for Luka to operate, and when Kristaps comes back, for him to operate. I just think they should put Steven Adams. They should get Steven Adams. And for who they should trade for to get him, I don't know, man. Like, there's ways to make it work. I would put Dwight Powell. I would rather have Adams, who's a better presence in the paint than Dwight Powell. Granted, you could make the argument, oh, well, he's so great off the lob. But see, all of that is because of, people like Luka and freaking JJ Barea. People who are great facilitators. You know what I mean? Those guys are what made Dwight Powell, blow up. Because they gave him those chances. They give him those open chances. But otherwise, he's a little bit more one-dimensional. He's not really that good of a rebounder. He's not that good of a post-up presence. I don't know, man. He's just not as good as you all make him out to be. And again, these advanced stats, I don't know, man. You all like to claim the advanced stats, but in the end, I see so many times where he's just so inefficient, and then it leads to like losses because he didn't step up and other players didn't step up. I'd rather we get a guy who's a little bit more proven than Dwight Powell is. Steven Adams actually has a decent mid-range game, and I've seen him hit some threes. So I think he would be a really good fit for the Mavericks system. We need somebody who can also space the floor. Give Luka a chance to drive. And if like Luka's trapped in a drive, you have someone like Steven Adams who can just pretty much Hulk his way in there. I'd rather have that than Dwight Powell, who you sometimes lose on a drive, but other times you could pretty much steal the ball from him or whatever the case may be. Because again, he's not that good of a ball handler either. So people exploit that. But you could either do Dwight Powell, possibly Brunson and a pick to the Thunder for Steven Adams and one of their other players. I don't know who they would get. I mean, Danilo is injured, so I don't know if they would even get him in that. But I don't know. They need somebody else. They need a change because right now they are struggling and it's just getting frustrating because they have so much potential to be more. And right now they're just completely struggling. And I don't want it to get to the point where they play themselves out of the playoffs again, because that would be utterly disappointing for a guy to have an MVP caliber season like Luka and to be out of the playoffs again. So something has to change. So just again, to recap, the Mavericks need to stop jacking up so many damn threes. They need to get more aggressive on the defense and stop turning the ball over. Rick Carlisle needs to put in better rotations that give him a chance to win, especially in the fact that they need to play Bojan Marjanovic more. They need to play him a lot more. And then they need to get a better trade to get a center. If they're not even going to play Marjanovic, I think that's a waste of money. If they're going to do that, they might as well get a guy like Steven Adams, who they're going to actually play more, and at least use Marjanovic in like game-ending situations where he's just a big body and presence at the rim. I'd rather have that than absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? Something's got to give here. The rotations need to be better. And just overall, I just hope they can turn it around and at least get some sort of trade that's going to change their fortunes. Because right now, it's not looking too good. For them to be third, to go down to seventh is not a good sign. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments. Hope that you're liking these videos. Again, I don't have time to really edit things anymore. I didn't really edit things to begin with, so sorry. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós.